Okay, so I'm jumping straight into a video of just custom figures after 2 months of no videos, which is quite an interesting thing to do because usually I give a reason. But you can see here, this is the Endgame Thor. And you can't buy these, well I mean you can buy these, but they don't look like this. I've custom made this head. It's made out of a fake Chinese Infinity War Thor from SH Figuarts. And what I did is I got my craft knife and I chopped the top of the head off and then resculpted new hair on, and a beard of course, and then repainted that. You can see I've removed the cape. That's mainly what this video is for the cape side of things. I need to fix the ankles on these because they're a bit weak. Everything else with the figure's fine. I've had to fix a few bits with knees and everything because the knees wouldn't move properly and then they were too weak to stand up. I've also had to widen the peg holes on the hands because they were a bit... Well, I was worried I was going to break it when I was changing the hands over. Now, the problem I have with the SH Figuarts fakes is their scale isn't always right. I don't know how they mess up the scale, because I thought they just took molds from the original and basically made them identical using molds and just did it cheaply, which is why they're not so good. Yet somehow this Thor is much shorter than the Iron Man figure. This isn't a fake, this is a genuine Mark 50 with a resin head that I bought from eBay a while ago. You can also see that this is custom painted. When this arrived, this was just grey, and I've repainted it, done some damage to it. And that head is going to go on the Mark 85 when that arrives. While I would be bothered about the height difference, they're not going to be put together. They won't be together on a shelf. I plan on having the Mark 85 on the knees like the final scene from Endgame. I've got the Infinity Stones-ish here. And when I get around to it, I plan on buying a fake Mark 50 because the forearms are interchangeable with the Mark 50 and the 85. I'm going to turn one of the fake Mark 50 arms into the Tony Stark nanotech gauntlet we see from the very end of the film, and I'm going to have him displayed with this head sculpt and that hand on. And I think when I get around to it, I will probably also heat treat the fake Mark 50 hands into a click, because you can see there's gaps between all of those, and the fake plastic heats very easily, which I had to do to this hand. But this video is not really going to be about the head sculpt of this figure, or really about much to do with the actual body of this figure. It's mainly going to be about the cape, because the cape is massive, and it could probably do with wires, like bendy wires, to be completely honest with you. It's huge, like even behind him, and this proportion is really warped because I'm using the third camera on the S10, which isn't the most accurate, but it gets a wide angle. I mean, if I display them like that on this camera, it looks alright. Although from my angle, you can still see his taller, because obviously you've got the right perspective. So this, I want to shrink down. I've already edited it once, and I wasn't happy with the edit, so I've taken it back off. All you have to do to change the cape on the Chinese knockoffs, or the bootlegs, the KOs, whatever you want to call them, is you hold it by the back, and you hold the body in place, and you pull this up past his head at an angle, like it pegs under this hook here, and if you pull it outwards and up, this peg undoes, and it slowly unclips, and if you pull it, don't just rip it because you'll tear the plastic, but if you do it slowly and carefully enough, you can take this whole black section off as well. I originally took it off, but then I used Loctite to glue it back down, and obviously Loctite doesn't really undo very easily. But yeah, main point is I want to shrink this down a bit so it's a little more accurate and a little easier to work with for animation. I will also be putting wires across the edges just so that they can pose for animation. I won't be doing the wires in this video because I don't have the wires right now, but when I get some wires I'll add them. They're not the most difficult thing to add, you literally just put them in and then you glue them in, and that's all that is. But for this, I think I'm going to mark the lines and I'm just going to cut them down with a pair of sharp, I think they're fabric scissors. They're either hair scissors or fabric scissors, I don't know because they're my mum's, but oh well. Okay, this doesn't show up very well on camera. There's a really faint drawn line running down there. In fact, I don't actually think you can see that at all. It's a line of damp. You can just about see it here, running up the side. I've drawn that on with a UV pen, with the intention of using the UV light to see where it is. But it's not showing up. Oh, well, you can kind of see it on camera there. That white line that runs all the way down. And it should be on the other side as well. There you go. And that runs all the way down to the end. I'm going to cut the excess off. I'm going to turn it inside out. I'm going to glue the seams together, then turn it back the right way, and it should have the same look. And that's going to be with those scissors that I showed earlier. I don't think there's any point in showing me cutting it, and that's also going to be really awkward because I've got the zoomed out lens, which means my hand is closer to the camera than you'd think it is. Like I'm probably about an inch away from the lens right now. So I'll pause the video and then I'll come back to that. Okay, so I ended up using a different pair of scissors for cutting the fabric. These are just basic scissors you get at B&Q. They're like £1. Literally like quid scissors, you can probably get them from Pound World. They cut the fabric better. You can see these two corners off. And then I'll be putting bendy wire in what's left. I did go and neaten it up afterwards as well, before sewing it together. I used black nylon thread. I noticed that they've used the same colour thread that matches whatever side it's on. So originally there was red and black thread. I think you can see it there. Just on the seam. They didn't do a very good job with this area, but then obviously there's black on that side because red would show up way too much. I've just used black thread because it's going to be on the inside. That was the first side I did. Really messy because I haven't done sewing in ages. I've not had any need to. But then this side was much nicer because I knew what I was doing with this side. And so then this is inside out right now, and then you turn it back the right way around, and you shouldn't be able to see that threading, or at least not much of it. I'm going to have to iron this to get the shape back into it, because obviously it's meant to have that folded edge, which it has here. But that's because it's been ironed. Obviously because I haven't ironed this yet, it's not perfect, but I think that's much better in terms of size. I may even sew this little bit up here, because that's kind of annoying. I didn't realise that was still there. I think that's much better in terms of scale. That last one was way too big. Even with the bendy wire in this, I think this might be a little bit on the large side. However, because it's got the bendy wire, I'll also be able to fold it out of the way. Yeah, that's much better for scale. You can just see that it's going to be a nicer fit. So this is about, I would say, nearly half the length that it was originally. Just a little under, or a little more than half what it was. I'm honestly too tired to work out how that is. But basically, two of those nearly equals one of these. That's what I'm trying to say. This is a little bit over half of the original size. So I will be putting bendy wire in here. I'll do the exact same method as I have for the stitching. I'll run a piece of wire that goes all the way through, and then I'll sew it onto the inside of the seam. I'm going to quickly fix this. Tomorrow morning I'll iron this bit of fabric together, so it's got that edge to it, and then I'll glue it back in underneath this neck piece. I will also be releasing a tutorial at some point on how to fix this storm breaker. because one, it does look really good, and even if you had to get a replacement for your original SH figuarts, I reckon for the Stormbreaker alone, it'd be worth 20 quid just to get a replacement Stormbreaker if you broke the original or whatever happened. This is a really good sculpt for Stormbreaker, but I'm definitely going to be doing some work on it to make it a little more realistic. I'll also be explaining how I fixed the hands so that it can actually hold it, because originally it fell out the hands. With a little bit of work, it's worth the 20 quid you pay for it. Although I do need to get in contact, because it was meant to have the lightning effects come with it, and that never arrived, despite them saying they'd send it. So I'm going to have to get in contact about that and either get a refund for the lightning effects or get them to send them separately. Preferably get them to send it separately, because it's basically these in blue. And those are extremely useful for animation, so I'm kind of trying to get those. I do have some lightning effects here, and they work alright for Stormbreaker, like that. But yeah, I would like some more, just for animating Thor. Okay, so as a temporary, I've just kind of stuck it there. Once that's been ironed, glued down, and properly reassembled, I think that'll be quite good. Especially once I've got the bendy wire in it. Which I don't have any right now, but I know where I can get some, so I will continue this video in about 4 hours. I haven't stuck that down, I need to extend that peg. In about 4 hours, not in 4 hours, in about 8 hours, when this cape has been ironed, and I've fixed up a couple other bits that I want to get fixed. So yeah, that'll do for now. It's actually been about 3 days now. It took me a little while to get the bendy wire. For some reason, stuff with a paper coating is cheaper than the stuff on its own, and I've got more of it, so it looks like the branch from Thor's Stormbreaker. I could use it for animation. I could take these two apart. I could take the axe and the hammerhead off. But anyway, you can see it's now rigid, and that's because I also fixed the hand, by the way, so it actually holds the axe. You can see the wire running through on the inside there. Come on, focus. There. It's really badly sewn in. One side looks nice and the other side does, but there you go. That runs all the way through up into the black, whatever this thing is up here. I also extended the neck yesterday, just to make it easier. Well, basically he couldn't look up, and it was kind of bothering me. So now he can look down more, and he can look up loads more, but it does end up with this little bit of a gap in his neck. I also fixed some of the hair, because some of the hair was breaking. So basically just by extending the neck joint and everything, he can now move around. The neck joint was just extended with a bit of polymer clay. I pulled the neck joint out, and rather than popping it back into the joint, I fixed it to the joint using polymer clay and then put it in the oven. There are two reasons I extended the neck joint. The first one is to get more movement so that he can look up more, but the other one is so that he was of a fair height. I mean, he should be loads taller than Iron Man, but they're the same height now. Move that out of the way. You can see they're the same height. If anything, Thor's a little bit taller now. You saw the past bit where I compared it to the head sculpt one, and yeah, it's just nicer to have obviously a taller Thor, since in the movies and everything he's meant to be an Asgardian god and he's meant to be tall and all. But anyway, I need to get a hammer. Out of everything I have, I don't have Thor's hammer in like 1/12 scale. I never bought a 6-inch Thor figure, which confuses me because I have all these lightning effects and everything. I actually have the living laser from Marvel Legends. One of like the least interesting figures I've ever bought. Yet I don't have a Thor's hammer. So I need to order one of those, which are expensive because usually you have to buy the whole figure. But I'll get something sorted. I need to get the Captain America and Thanos now, and I'll be working on some animations with those. If you want to see a tutorial on the head sculpt, you'll have to wait until I buy another one of these figures. If someone buys a custom, like they want one of these that's the exact same with the hair and everything, I'll video myself obviously completely redoing the cape. You can see how much I took off of this. Like if I put this back now, you can see how long that cape was. These are the offcuts, by the way, and this has been folded in on itself and then ironed shut. There's like an extra centimetre where it's been folded into glue and hold the wire and everything in. So this cape was originally like that size. And although this is, I would still say this is a bit big, it's good for animation now because obviously you've got all the possibility of as if it was windy. If you want movement, bends back. If you want it just to stay relaxed, you can bend it in a bit. It's not difficult. I think the figure should have had this originally, like the original. I can understand that China wouldn't have made it with the wire and everything. But I do think the original SH figuarts should have had wire in, which it didn't. I've had a look at some of the reviews. I think it should have had a wired cape, especially for the price you had to pay for it. But anyway, that is this video done with. Hopefully I can upload another one soon, because I don't upload that many. The next one should be an unboxing of the Iron Man Mark 85, because that was meant to arrive about 5 days ago, but they posted it 5 days late, so I probably got... It could arrive today, hopefully. It's in transit at the moment, but it's not arrived in the UK yet, which means I probably won't get it for another week. But yeah, if you want to see anything else, leave a comment. I'm kind of running out of ideas. I don't think any YouTubers have any ideas left anymore. So despite having no ideas, somehow I managed to make a mini replica of my desk, including the Infinity Stone display that I have back there. I don't know why I did any of this, I just did.